How's it going? It's Nathan here and welcome to the video. Now in this video what I'm going to be talking about is helping you to focus on your needs rather than just your wants all the time. In the world of personal development and in coaching, we spend a lot of time talking about your wants and asking the big question, what do you actually want? What are you trying to achieve? What are your goals? What are your desired outcomes? What are you really working towards? And one thing that comes up time after time after time is the needs which are actually driving the wants. Because what we notice is that when you're working towards your goals, when you're working towards your dreams, when there's something that you want, it can actually seem quite easy to become unstuck anytime there is a significant challenge or a hurdle in your way. It's like when you're working towards something happens, whatever it may be, a challenge comes up or there's a skill that you realize that you need to learn. It can be quite easy to become unstuck when these things happen, take you off course in a way. The reason for that is because we do get so focused on the things that we want, we forget about the needs which aren't being met underneath the wants. And even when we get to a point where we do achieve a particular goal or an outcome, we can still feel a certain lack, even though we've just achieved this thing that we're working towards. Now that lack comes usually when there's something missing. I mean, we wouldn't feel lack unless there was something missing, right? I mean, if we had everything that we wanted and needed, then there'd be no lack. But this feeling of lack comes when something is missing. And what I've found in working with my clients and speaking to people, and even for myself, is that when we achieve something and there's a sense of lack or a feeling of lack, it's because we haven't been focusing on the things that we need along the way to our goals and to our dreams. And so it's very important to know what you want to begin with. I mean, that is a big question for a lot of people. What do you want? I mean, I can sit down and speak to someone, like first introduction, maybe it's a new coaching client, or I've decided to spend a couple of hours coaching someone, and then they can sit, this is what tends to happen anyway, they will sit and they will unload everything that's wrong, as in wrong, or not working with them. They'll tell me all their problems, everything that's not working, how they're struggling, their emotional state, why they don't have the things that they want, everything that they want to improve. But when it comes down to it and I ask the big question, well, what do you want instead? It's like crickets, right? There's nothing. Because part of the big problem is that we don't really know what we want. A lot of people do, but deep down inside, we don't really know what we want. And so that's a big question. So it's important to understand that from the beginning, to know what you want. But more important than that, it's to know the reason why we want these things and the needs that we need to have met in order to go for the things that we actually want to achieve. What gets really interesting is, like, we think we want these things, like we think we want stuff, or we think we want to achieve these things, but underneath it all, a lot of the time it turns out that that's not really what we want. When I'm working with my coaching clients one-on-one, I've noticed that, and I say this to anyone that I speak to beforehand, they will come and speak to me at the very beginning and say, look, this is what I want, i.e. I want to open up a second location for my brick and mortar business. I want to increase my business. I want X, whatever it may be. What happens during the coaching journey and at the very end is what they don't necessarily get the thing that they originally wanted, but they get way more than they ever thought they could possibly want. It's the really cool thing about coaching. That's because what we truly want isn't necessarily what we say we want. There's an underlying desire there, which is based around particular needs. That's why it gets more important to focus on your needs and making sure your needs are met so you can work towards the things that you want to achieve. And so I think it's important if we make the distinction between wants and needs. I mean, like, we've all been to school, well, for the most part anyway. But it's important to have a distinction between wants and needs, because a want is a desire to have or to possess something. So a few examples of that would be maybe money or material things like the latest technology and gadgets, the latest clothes, the latest cars, having extra gadgets or some widgets and things which we really don't need. And like, my personal opinion, and I hope you agree, but there's a lot of things out there in this world that we really don't need, that we just consume for no reason. So these are these type of things that we want. Maybe we want to travel, you know. These are all wants. They're not necessarily needs. They're not necessarily like things which we don't have. It's going to cause problems. Like, we may get upset that we don't have them, but those are things like wants. Now, needs A need is a requirement of something that we deem essential or necessary. And so needs are needs, like the main ones are, of course, like we need food, we need to eat, and we need to eat well. We need water, so we need to be fed. We need shelter. But we also need things like love. We need love in our lives. We need connection in our lives. We need something to work towards, i.e. we need goals. These are things that are necessary for us as a human being to stay alive and to stay happy. Because when we're spending all this time focusing on the wants, like focusing on getting money, focusing on getting the latest tech, getting the gadgets, focusing on travel, that may bring some type of fulfillment in our lives, but it's not a lasting thing. Because we may get those things and suddenly that feeling of lack is there again. That's because we haven't been meeting our needs along the way. If we're too busy working towards the thing or the stuff, but we're not focusing on having love in our lives, we're not focusing on having connection in our lives, we're not focusing on the essentials like eating well, drinking plenty of water along the way, then that's not going to work. Something's going to be missing. And when we get to the end of the thing that we're working towards, then ultimately we're not going to feel satisfied. That's why when we're talking about our wants and our needs, it is so important to be thinking about our needs and focusing on those on a day-to-day basis. Because when we're having our needs met, when we're working towards the things that we want, then it's going to be way easier and we're going to be able to sustain a level of happiness and satisfaction when we're working towards it. So things like food, water, shelter, you're naturally going to have those already. I would always suggest that we look at maybe getting better food, better quality water, making sure it's purified and filtered, things like that. Shelter, yeah, as long as you've got a roof over your head, that's a good thing. But of course, we need our creature comforts in order to feel like we're making progress. I mean, it'd be difficult to start an online business if you're living in a shed somewhere, right? So those things are essential. But when we start looking at things like love and connection and goals, service, gratitude, these can slip by the wayside when we're focusing on the stuff. And that's why if you're spending a lot of time or at least a lot of energy focusing on being loved and loving those around you, loving yourself, then that need is getting met, and that's going to fill you with an incredible feeling of love moving forward. Now, if you're focusing on connection, how do you think that's going to serve you as you're working towards the things that you want? I mean, feeling connected with yourself, feeling connected with your goal, feeling connected with your family, your friends, your society. Do you think that's going to serve you moving forward? I absolutely believe it will. So if you're focusing on your needs first, then ultimately what the things that you want are going to be way easier to achieve for you. Well, maybe not necessarily easier, but the journey to actually get them is going to be a better journey for you because you're getting your needs met first. So then the question is, what do we do, right? What do we need to do first? Well, you probably already know some of the things that you want. It might be just getting in a better financial position, like making some more money or starting a business or even just traveling to a different country. Awesome. So you probably know a few of the things that you want, but what about the things that you actually need? So begin by listing those out. So number one is just start listing the things that you need. What do you need that's going to assist you in achieving your wants and moving towards your wants? Grab a pen, write them down. Ask yourself, what do you need to have met that'll help you feel happy, feel satisfied as you're working towards your goals? No matter what happens, no matter what challenges come your way, no matter what struggles pop up, what needs do you need to have met to make sure that when they come and you're working towards the things you want, that it's not going to be a problem for you? Write them down. Is it love? Is it connection? Is it desire? Is it alone time? Is it to have fun and excitement in your life? What is it for you? Then write down, how are you going to get those things? How are you going to make sure that you have that love in your life, that you have that connection in your life, that you are having that time for yourself to decompress, that you're having fun and excitement in your life? And then the final question to ask is, how are you going to feel by having your needs met first? And how's it going to feel knowing that they're going to continue being met because you're making yourself a priority? Will that serve you as you work on your goals? If you need to go over this message again or go over this video again, feel free, because these are some big, deep questions. But I guarantee once you ask yourself these questions and you come up with the answers, they will surprise you. And if you're spending more time focusing on your needs, the road towards getting what you want become better. Now, I hope this has served you in some way. Please feel free to leave a comment below if it has, and stay tuned for the next one. I'll catch you soon. How's it going? Thank you so much for watching the video. I really appreciate it. I hope there was something in it that is of value to you and is serving you in your day-to-day life. If you did like it, please feel free to give it a like and a subscribe. And also, if you wanted to support more of my work, I do have a link to my Patreon page in the description below. And as well as that, if you're looking for a little bit more access to me, or you'd like to get involved in my community and get some more exclusive content, I do have a free Telegram group which you can join. That is also in the description below. Once again, thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you soon.